Good morning from paradise. I'm Crypto Amaru. We got Crypto Hitman, Ferrum Nate in the house. We are talking markets. Why are they crashing? What's going on, guys? It feels like we keep talking. Why is the market crashing? When are we going to say when's it pumping and why is it pumping? Yeah, Nate's working for McDonald's now for fuck's sake. So let's not let that happen, guys. Let's stay employed over here. I know Nvidia just took a big hit. Tech stocks took a big hit, and then crypto followed suit. Is that really the basis for it, or do you guys see more to this recent crash here from yesterday?
I mean, to me, I think that's the basis. You do see that Bitcoin and whatnot still follows risk on assets, which are tech stocks currently. Nvidia took a big hit because it was subpoenaed by the DOJ. Of course, Nancy Pelosi just happened to sell her entire position 24 hours before that happened. And when people are nervous about the subpoena, they're selling in Nvidia. It's dragging the entire market down. Nvidia is one of the biggest assets in that index. So when it moves, it's kind of like Bitcoin and crypto. It's going to direct everybody else. Just like when Bitcoin is bullish, the alts start to run. When Bitcoin is bearish, everybody panics and everything goes down. So I think that's probably the biggest indicator. I don't know if you've seen anything else, Nate, in the Bitcoin crypto scene that would dictate why we're still heading sideways to lower.
Yeah, I mean, from a technical analysis standpoint, we closed August below for the month below a couple key markers that kind of indicate we're going to see more sideways, maybe a little more down. But I think there's a kind of a weight on the market right now that everybody's just feeling, and I think a lot of it comes from all summer we've been talking about. We just got to get to September. We just got to get to September. It's always like this in the summer, sell in May, and go away. And once we get past August, people come back from vacation. We're probably going to get rate cuts, blah, blah, blah. Everybody was stoked. September was when we were going to start to get some relief. And now it's looking like that's not going to happen. And everybody who was already like hanging on by a thread is starting to lose it. And we're seeing that in the market. People are capitulating. But that's also a sign that we're getting towards the end. We're getting towards when people finally start to capitulate in the market, that's when we finally see things start to rise up, fresh ideas, fresh money, et cetera, come in. Is that happening in September, October? I don't think so. I think we've got probably close to the end of the year of sideways, probably some down in between there, a lot of volatility. There's a lot going on. We've got rate cuts. We've got, the U.S. government going after Nvidia because why not? And we've got elections, and who knows what the hell is going to go on there. There's all sorts of, the turmoil that's been going on in Europe and with China and Russia, and like there's so much that are question marks. We got a few more months, I think, of grinding it out, being patient, sticking to fundamentals, not losing your shit before we're going to start to get that up only back into the real bull run. The good news is, though, I think, like we've talked about many times on this before, the longer we go sideways, the longer the markets coil up, the longer we reset, the more explosive and the longer this bull run's going to go. If we went up only all summer and straight through the elections, I think we're done with the bull run before the end of the year, maybe early Q1. But because now we've taken a pause, the markets are resetting, we're going sideways for a bit. I think 2025, we see a bull run that is extremely explosive and runs deep into 2025, maybe even 2026 if we get lucky. So it sucks. We're all feeling it. But if we can just hold on a little longer, if we can be patient, stick to your fundamentals, stick to your plans, we're all going to be rewarded in 2025, I think.
Patience and conviction, folks. My two favorite words in crypto to deal with these really difficult and frankly depressing market conditions. I agree with pretty much everything you guys said. The reality is, this is, if you take a step back and zoom out, I'm not surprised that you're seeing a lot of pressure on Bitcoin, crypto, tech stocks, even gold's been down. Real estate's been, that's been a bit of a bright spot if you're already in real estate, but we won't go there. That's a separate topic. But the bottom line is, when the Fed has held rates this high for this long, you start to see the effects of that across a multitude of industries. And it's not a surprise that we're seeing, various things crash, whether that's tech stocks, whether that's gold, whether that's crypto, Bitcoin, whatever. So this is the result of that fundamentally when you zoom out. And so what does that mean going forward? Well, the Fed recognizes that the labor market is also suffering. and has been suffering under these high rates. In fact, we're going to get a new labor reading out this Friday, and I'm guessing it's not going to be that great. So the Fed fucked up. Let's just be honest. They held rates too high for too long. They always do this. They always overcorrect, whether they're overcorrecting with too much easing, like they held rates at 0 and they pumped way too much money in the economy. That was the Fed and Congress.
I hope they do that next year.
During COVID time. And so, everything went crazy and we had massive inflation. Now they've pumped the brakes on that for a year and a half and they've overcorrected shit to the down. So they're going to overcorrect again. That's the good news. They're going to overcorrect. I don't think they're going to do a 0.5% cut here. I think they're going to do a 0.25%, but it's going to depend on what happens on Friday and whatever other data points come out between now and September 18th. But I think it's going to be 0.25. That is going to be the start of a series of cuts and basically quantitative easing. They're going to pump money back into the economy because they need to save the labor market. And eventually that money will come trickling back into risk assets. When that happens, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen exactly on September 18th. Like, they cut the rates and now money starts pouring. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a couple months. People get that confidence back, money to start flowing back into the market. It's going to take a couple months. I do think end of September and October. And I'm more bullish about the end of this year and Q4. Maybe not the beginning of September here, but I have not lost faith in this market and its ability to recover because, I see the writing on the wall with these rate cuts and the quantitative easing that is coming, and it's always good for markets. So just stay hodling on, patience, conviction, like the things we always preach, and it's going to be all right, guys.
Yeah, I mean, history would say that we'll have an explosive end of this year. Obviously, we have a couple other things in play. I think the other thing that we didn't mention that is weighing on the markets a little bit is the U.S. presidential polls. Kamala Harris is beating Donald Trump and RFK Jr. The reason I say and RFK Jr., we do know that RFK Jr. did endorse Donald Trump. Both Trump and RFK are very pro-crypto. So if that administration wins, obviously, I think it is much easier to the upside for Bitcoin and quicker. If Kamala wins, yes, I still think we have a bull market, but that probably delays things. It's probably short-term red candles if she wins in November, which I think that is kind of weighing on the market too. Remember, when Trump and RFK Jr. went to the Bitcoin conference, market was green. When Trump was winning the polls, market was green. As soon as Biden dropped out, Kamala Harris came in and she started gaining some ground. The market has been red. People are starting to fear that maybe she can win. She is very anti-crypto. She's never changed that stance, and don't believe the headlines when they say, oh, well, now they're considering it. No, they're not. So that's just the nature of the beast. If she wins, we will see a sell-off in November. If she loses, I think then the bull market continues, and we do have that explosive end of the year coupled with, the rate cuts, which we talk about, the historical halving cycles, which we talk about, and now you have Trump and RFK Jr. in power, very pro-crypto. He says day one, get rid of Gary Gensler. That would be a pump of the markets. So there's a lot of things that could happen depending on the U.S. presidential election.
She's proposing Gary Gensler to take over the head office,
Federal
Treasury
Reserve.
Secretary.
Yeah, so that's part of the fear in the markets too. It's just like so much uncertainty, and she's winning in the polls now. We know Hillary Clinton was winning the polls by 15 points and Trump won, so it doesn't really matter. But that's all you have to work off of. She's winning the polls right now by 4 points. That is a vast difference from when everybody thought Trump was a shoo-in when Biden was still in the assassination attempt, and now RFK Jr. endorsed him. But Harris is still winning in these polls, whether you believe him or not. That's the only data we can go off of.
Yeah, I think a couple things to circle back on what Ian was talking about. We look where the markets are. There's a lot of things that are contributing to the factors. These pendulum swings back and forth of QE, QT of rate hikes and rate cuts and back and forth. Like, this is why they created Bitcoin, is because of this constant manipulation and this constant fluctuation of our currencies and markets. And that's what the beauty of Bitcoin is they can't manipulate Bitcoin like they can the US dollar. And so keep that in mind as we deal with these things in the back and the forth. And yes, of course, it affects our markets. Of course, we want them to start printing again and cut rates so that, we can all have our bags pumped. But there's a reason, the fundamental reason why our market exists or why our industry exists, exactly because that these clowns are in there, unelected officials that essentially dictate all of our lives and the financial security of all of our lives. And if you're not one of the inside ball players like the Nancy Pelosi's, the Mitch McConnell's, all these people that are insider trading blatantly with no consequences, you're on the outside. And that's why that's why Bitcoin was created. That's why our industry exists. So keep that in mind. Some of the other things, talk about zooming out. if you go back, I posted the other day on Twitter. The millionaires are made in the bear market. We say that all the time. The people that bought Bitcoin between 15 and 20K, the people that bought ETH around 1,000, people that bought Solana at under $15 or Link for $5, don't give a shit about the short-term market fluctuations right now. They're sitting on a beach, relaxing, chilling, 40K, 60K, 80K. They're laughing. They're already up 4x, right? So keep that in mind. Like we're still sitting around 60K. We're up 4x from the lows of 15K in the bear market, right? You got to always keep that in mind. Yes, it sucks when the markets go sideways and down and for so long, but remember, you got to zoom out. You got to adjust your strategy and remember these lessons. Remember how you feel right now, a year from now, a year and a half from now, when we're back in the bear market times and you're ready to be bored and say, crypto's boring. I'm going to step away from things. No, that's when you got to double down. That's when you got to find your high conviction plays, because that's where you're going to have the opportunity to make the biggest money, right? So take the lessons we're learning right now, apply them, and also apply it to your mindset, right? Zoom out. We're still up 4x on the, from a year ago. What other market can you be up 4x in a year and be pissed because it's not higher, right? Like
there is no other market, frankly. There is no other market. Bitcoin, crypto, it's very unique. You have to take the ups and downs, the fluctuations, and deal with those emotions as they come. But I agree with everything you said. I take actually a little bit of a rosier view on the election, as a matter of fact. I dug into the polls a little bit more. Very interesting, the demographic sort of changes that you see cycle over cycle, election over election. Actually, Trump is outperforming in some areas. Like he's outperforming with Hispanics. He's outperforming with African Americans relative to his previous, attempts at winning the presidency. He's down. Interestingly, he's down among seniors. That was an interesting thing. But the bottom line is the race is neck and neck right now. I know she's up 3 or 4% nationally, but that's not what matters. What matters is those 4, 5, or 7 or 8 swing states.
Yep.
Where it's dead heat.
Yep.
And actually, Trump is probably in a better position now, polling wise, than he was against Biden in 2020. Remember, we were in the height of the pandemic, shit was going crazy. People were looking for a change. And so, that's what you get. Now it's a little different, right? Now things are not so good. Biden economics, inflation, all the stuff that people have been dealing with the past 4 years, the wars going on, blah, blah, blah. People are probably looking for a change now. So the question for me is, can Kamala present herself as a change agent, even though she's associated with the Biden administration being the vice president? Or will Trump be viewed as that change agent? And do we want to go back? Are people having those rosy views of when he was president? So I think it's neck and neck, guys. Literally coin flip right now. So I'm not buying into the polls being like, Kamala's definitely going to win. I'm not saying she's not going to win. She definitely could win, but Trump could win. We're neck and neck. We're dead heat.
I mean,
so for me, I'm not too worried about the polls right now. It's a coin flip.
Yeah, it is a coin flip. And from a logical perspective, I'm surprised it's a coin flip, because everything you just said, I don't know how anybody could even want to vote for Kamala. But that's beyond the point. That's my belief, my opinion, but that's just looking at logic. But my fear is, they can keep delaying the thing. She's only done one interview, and as long as she stays out of the topic, they're selling this administration of joy and happiness. And unfortunately, it's going to come down to the middle-aged women of this country, and where Trump is polling so badly. All these Karens have their white guilt or whatever it is, and they're seeming to all want to support and get that first woman president and everything else. So in my circles and my real life experience, and I own vending machines, so I'm out seeing people from all over the city. Everybody wants Trump, but media and the portrayal I'm seeing on TV is the other way. So we'll see. I hope and I think Trump will win. All my logic and cognitive ability tells me that's what makes sense. Trump, RFK Jr., Elon Musk, and administration to turn this country around. But we know that logic has kind of gone out the window nowadays, and the IQ seemingly continues to go lower and lower in this nation, unfortunately.
Yeah, for me, it's neck and neck, and I don't begrudge anyone for voting a particular way. I mean, everyone has their own various lived life experiences and reasons why they want to vote for someone or another. The candidate, if Trump is losing and you feel he shouldn't be losing, well, he's got to step his game up. And same with Kamala. If you're a fan of Kamala, why is she not walloping Trump? Because you could think of 10 different reasons she should be. So they got to step their collective games up if they want to win. I think Trump has kind of dropped the ball a bit recently with veering off topic with personal tax and so on and so forth. He should really be staying on topic of economy and chaos around the world. Those are his two strengths. Just hammer that message over and over in different ways. If Trump, if you're listening now, if you want to win, that's all you need to be talking about. Don't be name calling people and shit. But I guess that's part of his appeal. So he's never going to change. Bottom line. Anyway, it's a neck and neck thing. We talked about on this channel before that whatever happens, crypto's not going to go to zero. But certainly with Trump, up or with Trump, if Trump wins, the market will be up relative to if it was Kamala. So that's just the reality of it. But I think we're going to be fine regardless. To me, honestly, the bigger thing is this macro stuff with the Fed cutting rates. If they cut rates and they start buying bonds and pumping money in the economy and doing everything that they do, quantitative easing wise, there's a bunch of different tools they have in their toolbox to really juice things, then we will start flying again across a multitude of the stock market, NASDAQ, SP 500, gold, crypto. Everything's going to start going up because money's easy and cheap again. You can go out and get a loan, low interest loan, put that in the market, whatever. They do that. Doesn't matter who's in the presidency. They're the ones who are pumping and controlling the economy, either pumping or dumping it. I call it the pump and dump economy. So that's the reality, guys. I frankly actually don't think they've done a terrible job. The reality is they did achieve the soft landing, which everyone thought was impossible. At least, right, it seems like they achieved it. We'll see if we tip into a recession here at some point.
Their numbers say they achieved it.
Recession.
Their numbers say they achieved it, but I'm telling you, when I go to Sam's Club or Costco to buy the vending machine goods, those prices are continuing to rise. Buy the same thing every week for 2 years, and they just went up again. Another 9% across the board on every item.
Wow, no shit.
A week ago. So
they've maybe beaten it to some degree. Inflation's never going to go away completely, guys.
Right. That's another thing people don't understand is inflation is a compounding thing. So just because it's back down within the norm, 1.5% to 3% is what we want. That's still stacking on the previous inflation. So expect that to happen over your lifetime. That is what it is. We just got to keep it down at these levels. They have, in theory, got the soft landing based on their data, and the inflation numbers are going down. Gas is staying relatively safe. So we'll see what happens with these rate cuts, and let's see what happens with the housing market. But yeah, I do agree that they've done the best they could do. They probably waited a little too long, but what are you going to do?
They're always looking backwards, right? They're always making decisions based on data from a month ago. So it's very hard for them, frankly, to get out in front of something. And then they probably don't want to look like they made a mistake and were too risky, did something that was too considered too risky, and then it backfires, and they're like, fire this guy. You know what I mean? So it's complicated stuff. But bottom line is hang in there, folks. I know you're down 95% on your altcoins and your Bitcoin's down, but I think Nate brought up a really good point. You zoom out, the markets have been up. Hopefully you held some Bitcoin. I always tell people, we do these daily voice chats, and the Kai channel is a CTO we took over. And one of the topics I hammer home is you got to be diversified. You can't just be in alts, or else you can get wrecked way too easily, and then you get stressed out and mess with your mindset, and you sell at losses and all that. Got to be diversified. If you have some Bitcoin that you bought maybe a year ago, 2 or 3 years ago, hey, feeling not bad. My portfolio is not too bad. Okay, my alts are down, but at least I got this. And of course, you want to diversify further. Maybe try to get some real estate, try to be in some gold, whatever the case may be, stocks. But if you're just in alts, it's a struggle right now. But for me, selling at 90%, 95% losses, as long as the project is still active and pushing forward and doing different things, engaging their community, building products, trying to add utility for their token, things will probably return for that altcoin, at least to some degree. It may not go 100 times, but it should recover at least somewhat when the market starts really pumping up again.
Yeah, when we do get the turn, there's a ton of money sitting on the sidelines. I think the M2, the measure of free flow cash that's sitting out in the markets is one of the highest it's ever been. But that money's not coming into the market right now because there's too much uncertainty. I think when we get past the election, people know what's coming next, what's coming with the next regime, with the next 4 years. Then they can start making decisions, the big money, the institutional money, the Warren Buffetts and the BlackRocks, et cetera. There's a shitload of money sitting on the sidelines right now, waiting to go somewhere. Is that part of why the markets are resetting? Russia has announced, there's multiple nation states, including Russia, that have announced they're going to start opening up payments and doing, government infrastructure payments in Bitcoin. Often when we see, big players that want to get into the market, whether it's traditional markets, whether it's crypto, whatever, they can manipulate the market to push it down so that they're getting better entries. We could be seeing some of that going on right now. There is a ton of money sitting on the sidelines waiting for the right time. If you be patient, you can catch the high tides raise all boats. So if you can be patient, things will change. There's a lot of catalysts waiting for the right trigger, to send us to the heights that we're all expecting and dreaming of for the last couple years since 2021 when we saw the last bull off top. It's gonna come. You just got to be patient.
Well, guys, it is gonna come. You got to be patient. I think that's perfect words to end on. So we'll see you soon, guys. Until then, see you on the beach.